Aloha, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Warrior Women in the World of Entrepreneurship podcast. I'm here today with Miss Jalyn Croft. And what is the last name now since you are
Rangel.
married? Rangel.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, congratulations on
Thank you.
getting married. It was 2019, right?
Yes.
Awesome. So, she's an accomplished black belt in Taekwondo and has opened up her own school with her and her husband in Georgia. It's called the Iron Dragons. So, Jalyn, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited for this conversation, and let's get started.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited too.
Sweet. So Jalyn, tell us a little bit about kind of where this all started. Like, when did you start martial arts, and just kind of even up to where you even thought about having your own school? So
Yeah.
we're just gonna go right in.
So I started martial arts when I was 8, and I started at a school and I trained there for about, I think it was 3 or 4 years, and then the school closed. And it closed right before I got my black belt. And they actually were friends with or knew of this other school, so they sent all of the students there. And but it was a different style. So the new school was Taekwondo, and the old school was like some sort of American karate style. And they let me go ahead and get my black belt, but it was pretty much like get your black belt and then start over in a new style. So as like a 13-year-old, that was really heartbreaking,
Yeah.
to like get your black belt and then not know anything. But it ended up being good because I enjoy Taekwondo more. But that school was actually Iron Dragon. So I went there in, I think, 2005. And then I trained there for a while. I ended up in college, eventually working for a different martial arts school in the area, just because Iron Dragon was always pretty much somebody's hobby. So they were never like paying their instructors or anything like that. So there was an opportunity to like go get paid to teach martial arts, and that sounded like a dream job. So I went and did that. That's where I met my husband because he grew up at that school. And then once I graduated college, I ended up going back to Iron Dragon just kind of for fun, because now I had my, career type job and I didn't need to teach martial arts. And so I went back just to train. And the first time that I went back to train, I got into this class and I realized that they had all age levels and all ranks in the same class. And I like couldn't concentrate because there were like these 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds in the class with like me. And I was like, that's not fair to them. They need like a more fun class and whatever. So I asked the owner at the time, I was like, can I start a like little dragon program for you? Because these kids need to be in a different class. So that's what I did. I ended up kind of running their little dragon program for about 3 years. And then the current owner, I think it was December of 2019, she decided that she wanted to like spend more time with her family and wanted out of the business. So she offered it to me. So that's kind of how the business fell in my lap.
Awesome circumstance. That's
Yeah.
where did you end up going to college?
I went to Georgia State University. It's in downtown Atlanta.
Okay. So born and raised Georgia, stayed there,
Yeah.
been there. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a beautiful place and a pretty big state. So lots to enjoy. So first of all, one question too. Little dragons. Why the phrase little dragons for you guys? It is a popular term in Jeet Kune Do as well. Like that's not in all Jeet Kune Do schools, but like where I come from and our like lineage under Guru Dan and Asanta, they also call it little dragons. What brought that to mind for you?
I feel like it's also a pretty popular phrase in Taekwondo. So the school that I had been working for called it Little Dragons. So in my mind, that's just what they were. But it also fits really well with our
Yeah.
name, Iron Dragon. So I think most of our parents and stuff now think that we just came up with the name because of Iron Dragon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it does fit. But no, I think it's just kind of popular throughout all of martial arts that age group is called that.
Agreed. And just in martial arts in general, I know people listening are probably like, Colo, what the hell are you asking right now? But it's true, it's like, cause you'll find different names for them.
Yeah.
For my own school here, I wanted to go a little bit more to the area. So I've just started kind of running like garage style. Like that's where we're at. It was originally supposed to be just kind of like private training, just because it's easily managed and the space that I
Hmm.
have here would fit that a lot better. But honestly, it's a lot harder to break into that, especially if you're new to the place and environment and nobody knows you. So trying to
Yes.
at least run classes is a little bit more mm, manageable, I guess, or it just opens it up more for people to be able to know who you are without having to necessarily like invest so much into it right off the bat if they don't know who or what you are. And then I think lines up for potential private lessons. So, and
Yeah,
that's
I
how I would,
completely agree. Yeah.
yeah, and that's how I would get clients to back in New York City. So, you said you have a full-time job. What did you get your degree in, and are you still working in your full-time job at the moment?
Yeah, so I got my degree in business management. So I got one of those just kind of generic, like, yeah, you got a college degree. Um, and yeah, I do still work my full-time job. It works really well around Iron Dragon because I got hired on working from home. So that was before COVID. I know everybody works from home now, but I've been working from home for like 5 years.
Awesome.
So it's really nice. My company isn't like overbearing. It's not one of those ones where, your mouse has to be moving the whole day or anything like that. So
Just little squiggle.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
here.
So it's like, as long as you're getting your job done, they're happy. So it's a nice thing because I can either work from home or I can take it to Iron Dragon and work from there. And there's been times that I've needed to do something for Iron Dragon in the middle of the day. So I just put off my other work until night and then I got it done then. So since it's so flexible, I'm able to do that. And it works out really well for the business because there's not that pressure for Iron Dragon to like support my lifestyle, or anything like
Yeah.
that. So I feel like it can grow a lot easier. I don't have to force it.
And like you said, since you're working remote, you can still be there. You can be in the office,
Hmm.
you can work there. And then if anything, it's like, it's literally like take a step out the door and you're there.
Exactly.
Um, so, and also Luis, that's your husband's name as
Yes,
well. So he also works a full-time job, but his is in
he
person.
does. Yes. So he actually works for my dad. So
Oh, cool.
um so my dad's obviously very supportive of our business. So it works out really well because if he needs some time off or needs to get off early or whatever it is for something with Iron Dragon, my dad's very supportive of that. And their job is pretty relaxed, it seems. But
They're gonna hear this and be like, "What the?" No, I'm
I know,
kidding.
right?
No, I'm kidding.
But yeah,
Um,
it's good. So we have like both of those streams of income. So we haven't ever taken any money from Iron Dragon. We have employees that we pay, and right now we don't need the money from it. So we think that it's better to put the money back into the business.
sure. Is it your ultimate goal to be at Iron Dragon full time, or you like the way it is right now to just kind of keep it almost sustaining itself, and that's the wheel like that you kind of want to like keep rolling?
I've got like, I feel like I haven't made up my mind on that. So
That's fair.
part of me is like, yeah, for sure, I would want to do my own thing and, for my business to grow big enough to support us and everything like that. But at the same time, I'm like, my job as it is right now is pretty easy to come up with.
True.
So why get rid of that salary and the benefits and everything like that?
Do you like what you do?
Um, it's not like,
Loaded question. No.
yeah. I work for a construction company, so I'm not like passionate about construction, but the job itself isn't bad and the people are fun. So it's not terrible, but it's not something I'm super passionate about.
I promise it'll all lead together. What is it exactly? So obviously you got your degree in business management. Is that along the lines of what you're doing within this construction company uh, at the moment, or what's your exact? It doesn't have to be exact job, but what's your job entail right now?
Yeah, so I pretty much do all of the like billing. So I invoice all of our customers. I make sure we get paid. I make sure we're up to date on all of our stuff for the government and whatever, to permits and stuff like that, to make sure that we're good to go. So I wouldn't say like the management side is really coming into play. Like the only person I'm really managing is myself.
Sure.
Um, but business wise, yeah, I've learned a lot in this business that has translated over to Iron Dragon. So
You saw where I was going with that.
yeah.
I mean, it does, and it takes time and mistakes, unfortunately, and just that learning
Yes.
that you can also get there. And I'm just about to probably start a like mini docu series on, it's going to be called Jeet Kune Do is Everything. And it's just the art and philosophy. So Taekwondo is your Jeet Kune Do essentially. Like it's a philosophy, it's a thought process. And it's not trying to like encompass everything to like brush it under the rug. It's actually like honoring each thing, because it's like, Muay Thai is incorporated in that, and everything and every part can be combined to be most useful for the individual trying to use it, right?
Yeah.
So, and I know you guys like at your school too, you've used weapons training, and I know that's also part of like Taekwondo, but you've also incorporated jujitsu and the escrimistics in your weapons class. So, you guys are also mixing that up within that, right? Because the escrimistics, I don't think are initially part of Taekwondo, or they are.
No, yeah, as far as I know, Taekwondo doesn't necessarily have weapons. That's
Sure.
more of like a karate style. But yeah, I think that I want to give our students different outlets. Like I personally loved weapons once I kind of became aware of them. That was my
Yeah.
thing. Louise, my husband, loves sparring, so he's really focused on that. And then we both wanted to do jiu-jitsu. So when we found an instructor, we were like, yeah, we want to bring him on. And we want our students to be able to find their thing at Iron Dragon and not have to like go out and search for it somewhere else. Because
Yeah.
I've, taken Muay Thai other places, taken kickboxing other places, but you're never going to find that in one place. And that's what
Yeah.
we eventually want to create.
That's awesome. So yeah, where I'm out of in New York City. So I initially got mine under Seafood Dan Anderson in New York City. And that was why I fell in love with the school and Jeet Kune Do in essence. So Jeet Kune Do, there is a core curriculum, right, that can be taught. But again, what Bruce Lee had initially like, listen, I don't know him personally. I never met him personally, but I am under that lineage. And it's always interesting to read it, because it's like you, in the very beginning, obviously there is that core curriculum where there is quote unquote, like not limitation, but learning, right? There's
Yeah.
building blocks to it. And then at the end, it's kind of like, okay, disregard everything so that you are limitless. It's like, don't disregard your skill, but disregard the idea of having these set patterns. That's the whole thing. And it's just incredible, because again, you're doing the same thing, right? But starting with your base of Taekwondo. So, and then you're adding these things because that's what is best for you, right? That's what interests you. And it's just incredible. I love martial arts.
Yes. And I've noticed how hard that is to do
Yeah.
personally and for my students, for us to like, even sometimes when we are like, okay, we're going to have a boxing week and we're just going to incorporate boxing. And they're so used to doing their like straight Taekwondo punches. And we're like, okay, now these are fast and they flow more and your head needs to move and this and that. And it won't click for the longest time, because they're so used to the way that they do it. So that it's fun to kind of watch them experience different arts.
It's definitely a hard thing to like try to understand, because while you're learning, you're like, I am just trying to get this down. And now you're telling
Yeah.
me that it's like, because in your mind, when you're first doing it, it's like black and white, right? It's right or wrong. It's like, Guru Dan and Asanta is like, there is no right and there is no wrong. It is just what is, useful essentially too.
Yes.
Bruce Lee and Guru Dan as well. What I was going to say too is you're absolutely right. And I found the same here with the schools. It's like you have to go to like 2 or 3 different schools just to find all the things that you want to train in, that you feel are useful. It's like certain things like trying to, I took Taekwondo like briefly in my life, but yes, your hands are up, but they're more down because you're based on the kicks. Your stance is a little bit more narrow. In Muay Thai, for example, it might be in Dutch style, it's going to be open a little bit more wider. You get that range of motion and your hands are up. Like you drop that hand, you're,
yes,
you're
I learned
in
that
for
real
it.
quick in Muay Thai.
Yep. But then again, you can also use those kicks as well in Taekwondo. It translates really nicely, but yes, it's those small adjustments to be able to make it work overall. And like I said, where I trained in New York, and what I'm doing here is I'm trying to make it one so that people don't have to pay 4 different memberships to be a well-rounded martial artist. Like you don't have to just be a striker. If you want to be more of a striker, great. Take more of those classes, but also learn a weapons class and see how that can translate. And that's the thing within like, our curriculum as well, is that it flows like really nicely within each other. And I'm sure you're finding that now too, like you're adjusting as you go and making it your own. So let's even
Yes.
go into that too. So speaking of making it your own, so you said that the previous owner of Iron Dragon she in December, she was like, all right, I should probably see my family a little bit more.
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
which is great. I'm sure she had many years of hard work. So
Hmm.
it's awesome that she had that opportunity. It's awesome it created that opportunity for you guys. But if everyone remembers December 2019,
Yes.
right before and you guys couldn't even take over until March, right? That's what I was
Right.
listening to on your YouTube channel, which I'll have you tell us at the end as well, like where we can find you and how people can see your progress and find your school if they're in Georgia. How was that timeline for you? And I know you guys just got in, like, what was it, March
March
1st?
1st. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So she called me December of 2019, and I think it had like kind of just not just crossed her mind, but she had just decided like, yes, I want out. It had obviously been on her mind for a while, but she had just kind of made that decision. But she still wanted to hold on to it for a little bit. So at first, she was like, hey, can we kind of run this school together for about a year and then I'll sign it over? And I was like, because I totally respect her, but I wanted to do things differently than her. I was like, I can't handle a year of running it with somebody that I want to do things differently then. So
Right.
I countered back and I was like, how about March 1st? And looking back on it, I was like, man, we should have done a year, because then she would have handled COVID and not me.
Yeah. But you
But
don't
who
know,
knew,
right? Yeah.
So then we signed it all over. She agreed to that. We signed it all over March 1st. And still at that point, I know all of the US kind of treated COVID a little bit differently, but here in the South, we still like were pretending like it wasn't a thing.
Right.
So nobody really knew what was going on. Exactly.
I
Like
can't see it.
nothing was being canceled, nothing. So we like were not anticipating anything. And then it happened so quickly. From like March 1st, we had to close on March 17th. So that was the timeline for us. And of course, it was like, we're going to close for 2 weeks to flatten the curve,
Mm, yep.
and it ended up, yeah, exactly.
Life changing.
Yeah. But we ended up not reopening until May 1st. Like we got the green light to reopen sometime in April, but we had actually decided to do some renovations and everything during that time. So like the place was a disaster. We couldn't reopen. So
Sure.
we ended up reopening on May 1st with like 5 students coming back.
Now, obviously, you guys are running this off of, like you said, your main source of income, right?
Yeah.
Your primary jobs. How were those affected? I know you worked remotely as it was, but obviously even those who work remotely can be affected because even though you're working remotely, the company itself has workers that aren't and might not be able to continue to work. So did that
Yeah.
affect you and Luis at all, or?
It actually didn't. So
Cool.
construction was like deemed essential.
Nice.
So we were able to continue to work and everything. Um, I think my dad had Louise and his other employees take 2 or 3 weeks off without pay or something like that. And, kind of at the beginning, not really knowing what was going on,
Right.
which was fine. And then the landlords for Iron Dragon, they cut our rent in half for like
Okay.
three
Yeah.
months or something like that. So it was good. We had some help and everything with that, and it didn't end up being too bad for us.
Okay. So, and then you had some time to do renovations. So
Yes.
yeah, it ended up for some people, it was definitely really, really scary. I was fortunate enough. I was still working as a manager and instructor at Anderson's back in New York. So I like that I'm like nodding my head, like you guys know exactly where I'm like, and those of you that are listening, like can't see me, definitely nodding my head to the side, like, just over there. Like I'm out in Hawaii. It's over in New York. But I was still working with them at that stage and, they were still paying us for sure, which was incredible. And it allowed me to save a whole lot more money and pay off some
Hmm.
debt, which was nice. I was still, listen, I was working more hours than I think people realize because and people don't see you. So they're like, are you even working? It's like, yeah, I'm
Yes.
actually working more hours here than
Yeah.
you're giving credit for. And, you want to do that because obviously they're still paying you. So there's also a sense of like, you
Kind of
kind of want to give
loyalty
it.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So And that's, that's, I think, just in a martial arts, I guess, code. I don't know if whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it, but they helped raise you in the arts. So you want to just try and take care of them too. So I was able to kind of get out of that and also just form my own business, Tasco Fit Martial Arts and Fitness over there, which is now brought to Hawaii. So, but it's hard. It's hard to, get students. And I hate saying that though, because when people say hard, they think impossible. It's not impossible. You just have to be willing to put in the work. But
Yeah.
the biggest thing I think is patience. So
Yes.
yeah,
I
with
say that
your,
a lot. Like, we're playing the long game with
yeah.
this.
And that's hard because it's like you want to play the long game, but you're like, how long is long? Like, but that's like when people ask, like, how long does it take to get your black belt? Like,
Yep. Yep.
just train. Just
Yeah.
don't worry about the belt. Yes, you have a goal. You want to
Hmm.
have an idea of like the timeline. I get it. But so many people don't understand that like the black belt is only the beginning in the most
Yes.
wonderful way. And listen, I didn't either. I thought the same thing. I was just like, all right, how long is it going to take me to master this? And it depends on you guys. And what you learn too is it's a lifestyle. Martial arts is going to
Hmm.
be a part of your life. It's something that you use every day in everything if you allow it. Like in your dealings with other people, in your dealings, just like how you physically are in your house, like how you going to shut a door with your foot or your hand.
Yep.
But so with you guys, when you reopen, so tell me again, so you guys closed for those quote unquote 2 weeks, what date?
March 17th.
Okay. So yeah, just I know for us, it was like around March 14th. And then when did you get to officially reopen your doors?
May 1st. So it was
Okay.
like almost, I guess, like a month and a half.
Okay. Not too bad. And how many people did you have? Was it the same students from before that were already in Iron Dragon? How did that work for
Yeah.
you guys?
So when we like officially took it over, I think it was a very small school. So
Sure.
already. So I think she had maybe 20. And then when we reopened, we probably got 12 of those people back. So it was kind of like starting fresh, you know.
Gotcha. How did they find out about you? Now we're going to get into a little bit more of the business aspects, which I know you do like as well. Did like websites, how were you able to market? Was it just word of mouth? Was it putting out physical papers? Cause it changes, right? From like small towns and
Yeah.
bigger cities, the tactics that you use.
Yeah. So a lot of it's word of mouth. And then we're really trying to get in to be like partners in education with some elementary schools around us.
Okay.
Also Facebook and Instagram ads. I'm figuring those out. That's a whole world of its own.
Yep. For
But
sure.
yeah, that's pretty much it. We've like volunteered with a couple of churches to do their camps and stuff like that. We're kind of trying every route that we can and see what works.
When you're reaching out to the school, so you said you wanted to be partners in education, which I've seen one other person do like an after school program.
Hmm.
Crew Pole or Paul. I don't know if I'm saying it the right way. It's POL. I believe she's Thai and she teaches Muay Thai too. And I think I saw on her website that she teaches the after school programs. And that's definitely something I'm also trying to get into and kind of reach out. So how are you doing is it cold reach outs? You're just kind of contacting these schools, or are you going in person? Like what's the best route that you found is effective?
So we're contacting the schools initially. I'm on like a Facebook group for our area also, and a lot of people will post like, oh, we're having a fall festival, we need some vendors, and then I'll reply and be like, hey, can we come set up a table or something like that, so that I can at least get a contact and they can see us. We're in a extremely populated area, so
Cool.
within our district there's probably 20 to 25 elementary schools. So there's a lot to reach out to and a lot to kind of figure out, is this one even worth going to? Would they drive to us? Which ones are the closest and whatever. But also we're in a bad situation because this area is extremely populated with martial arts schools as well. So
Yep.
there's one in like literally every shopping center.
Right.
Um,
How do
so
you stand out?
most of these schools already have a martial arts school in them. So a lot of them are
Oh,
like, hey, we already
interesting.
have a martial arts school. We're not going to accept another one, which makes sense. I would want them to do the same if that was me, you
Right.
know? But one that we got into recently, they accepted us. We were so excited. We went to their meet and greet. This was actually a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
Went to their meet and greet, and there were 3 martial arts schools in the gym.
Oh, man.
They had stuck us right beside each other. So
They're just waiting for some
either,
Karate Kid stuff to happen right now, like
yeah.
the All Valley, like.
So either these people thought we were all the same, or
Mhm.
by the time they got around to us, they looked at us and went, wow, another martial arts school. And then just
Yeah.
like walked off, so we were like, that was such a waste of time,
Yeah.
because they had already talked to the other 2 before they even got to us. And who wants to hear the same sales pitch 3 times in a row?
Right.
So we're kind of figuring out what we want to do with that. We were thinking about maybe focusing more on preschools, because that doesn't seem to be somewhere that a lot of these martial arts schools have gone. So we actually just got our first ASP program is starting this semester out of preschool. So it's a 3 and 4-year-old class.
Hmm.
And I guess we'll see how that goes.
I saw that you had to purchase like the dodgeballs and different things, which is cool.
Mhm.
Definitely catering to that, which is something I'm trying to delve into more, especially I know Guru Dan Asanto, like really he teaches, he's 80, just turned 85 or 86. He just had a birthday and he's still teaching those classes. He teaches
Wow.
most of the class out of his school in LA and Marina Del Rey. And it's cool. He's playing the drums like while they warm up. And it all blends together. And again, the older students are leading either the warm-ups or just different sets, which
Mhm.
is really cool to see. So I'm trying to, again, just take from each thing, what I was able to do when I was teaching in New York and learn from them. And how much mm, I don't want to say importance, because we also put great importance to the program, but like obviously Guru Dan's been developing his for much longer, and I just try to take from each thing. And seeing yours, like, okay, dodgeball, duh, here's a smart thing,
Mhm.
because it's just a simple game, hand-eye coordination, not simple, but hand
Right.
duck, but it teaches you hand-eye coordination. You can use your martial arts too if you want, like you can condition the games, like, okay, the only way you can block is using your kicks, like there's different
We
cool things. Go ahead.
Yeah, we also use it. So with our little dragon classes, we try to end the last like 4 to 5 minutes with a game, because for them, that's the last thing they're going to remember. So we want them to remember fun as
Yeah,
the last thing that they did.
same.
But dodgeball, we also use it to get the parents involved.
Oh.
So we go out to the parents and we're like, hey, here's an opportunity to hit your kid with a dodgeball. Do you want to come
With
out?
permission.
Yeah, exactly. So they love it too. The kids love that the parents are out there. So it's
Yeah.
always like the kids versus the parents, and it's a fun time for everybody.
Yeah. I can go into martial arts tangents all day, but not necessarily all of our listeners are martial artists. So I do want to go back into the business aspect. But the important thing also, guys, is like the reason it's important to teach kids too, is I'm realizing is a lot of the methods that we use, because we don't talk to kids like they're kids necessarily, right? Like we are almost talking to them like they are adults, like, but
Hmm.
obviously in a way that they can understand. And I think it's really helpful actually to be able to teach adults thereafter, because you can
Yes.
understand how to break things down a little bit easier, because people who are beginners in martial arts, you kind of have to treat them like as if they have a lesser understanding of it, period. So you have to make sure that you can speak to them in a way that makes sense, so that they're not intimidated, so that they again have fun with it. And I mean, just because we're older doesn't mean we don't want to have fun. Like we want to make sure we're
Right.
having fun with these things. So how has that been able to help you with working with the adults?
Yeah, so it really has, because I've noticed that a lot of the adults, especially if they haven't done any type of athletics, at least recently or maybe in their life at all, they don't, like you were saying, they have like a less understanding of what their body does,
Right.
you know? So, and since I've been doing martial arts since I was a kid,
Hmm.
it's like, oh, just do a front kick, like bring up your knee, whatever. And
First
my
of all, what's
body
a
just,
front kick, right? Like, is their
yeah.
question? They're like, I know what's in front, but what's a front kick? You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Yeah. So, and then it's like for some people, just bringing up their knee, they're going to lose their balance. So it's
Yep.
like, okay, now we've got to even break it down more, you know? So it has been good. I've actually noticed that the kids learn stuff a lot faster than the adults, because they're not scared of hurting themselves. They're just
Right.
going to do what you say, specifically like if board breaking or something, the kid just goes for it. And the
Yeah.
adult's like, I have to go to work tomorrow. If this,
Right.
you know?
It's like, if I don't break the board, it's going to break me. So.
Yeah. So like there's more of a mental block with adults than there is with kids that you have to get over.
Yeah. And it's definitely hard, but it's very rewarding when you get to see that in their face and in their demeanor.
Hmm.
When you get hurt as an adult, it definitely takes longer and it sucks.
Yes.
So be smart with your training folks out there, especially like doesn't mean take off forever. You know, I've had to take off for jujitsu again. I've had an on and off relationship with jujitsu for the last like 10 years. I don't even know. And I love it too. Like I absolutely love it, but it's just like I keep getting injured. Like I have an injury from snowboarding years ago and I have a shoulder injury from that. And then recently I had taken a Muay Thai seminar and I was not conditioned and, you know, tough guy over here, me. I'm like, I can take it. It's like, yeah, you have not been like training. What are you doing? And so, but whatever, you know, I was going to be a good partner for somebody and I wasn't just going
Yeah.
to like crumble. So,
Hmm.
but I definitely dealt with it because I had this like huge ass bruise on my leg that like, as it sounds terrible and, you know, it sounds like a bitched out, but the bruise is huge. Like I swear to God,
Yeah,
it
I
looked like
understand.
hematoma. I was like, it wasn't, thank God. But like, I got to the point of like, I needed to sit down at work and I had to get sent home. I did try, but it kept like pulsating because you're standing on it all day.
Oh
So I
my
was like,
gosh.
this big, strong warrior black belt I am. So it was a little blow to the ego, but you know what? I think just in general, what we've learned from martial arts is you're going to have those moments. You're going to have those moments that suck.
Yeah.
And it's going to kind of like tell you like, hey, guess you should be training a little bit more and just kind of keep you honest with yourself. And I think that translates into our everyday life and into our careers. You know, like how many times have you faced something at work outside of the martial arts academy that you've had to use your martial arts like thought process for every day,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, sorry. So going back to this Iron Dragon, because again, like I said, I'm going to go off on tangents all the time with martial arts. Running a martial arts school is not easy by any
No.
means, but again, hard doesn't mean impossible. So how do you guys, where are you at right now? I know you said you're looking into like Facebook marketplace or not marketplace, sorry, Facebook marketing strategy as well as Instagram. How are you feeling with keeping up with Instagram posts? And are you on TikTok? Are you doing all these social media things? Like, how has that been for you? Because I fucking hate it.
So funny you should say, I actually just started a TikTok for Iron Dragon like
So did
last
I.
week.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm like, I consume TikTok, but I'm not one to really post on it.
Yeah.
Um, but this is, I kind of realized that I was old. So I, I had Facebook for Iron Dragon, and I was like, that's a really good way to say stuff to the parents because
Yeah,
most parents are on Facebook. So we do a lot of our announcements that way and everything. And then my thought was like, okay, let's start an Instagram for the kids. And
sure.
then I was like out in class and I was like, do you have an Instagram? Make sure you follow us. And they're like, I don't have an Instagram. My mom has an Instagram. And I was like, what? So then I was like, crap. So I had to like realize that I had to start a TikTok if I wanted these kids to follow us, you know. And I was like, crap, I've been avoiding this at all costs because learning a new social media is a full-time job in itself.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just started a TikTok. I think we have like 5 followers, whatever. But
Yeah.
you know, we
Shit, I'll
have had
follow
a
you right now.
couple.
Hold on. Okay.
Yeah.
I will after this. If you follow me back, I just created one last week and I was not a consumer of TikTok before that. So I'm
You
just,
weren't out.
no.
COVID did me in. I ended up getting on TikTok.
I got the light ring and everything. I started dancing. I didn't know what was happening. No, that's
No, no.
awesome. So
But
how often are you posting? Like, so okay, you started the TikTok last week for that. How have you learned to do it? How often are you posting? Is there a strategy for that yet, or you're just kind of winging it until you fake it till you
yeah,
make
I'm
it
kind of
type thing?
winging it. Yeah,
Not fake it till
kind
you
of
make it.
winging it
Sorry.
right now. So my strategy, and I don't know if this is going to work,
Sure.
but I do a lot of like Instagram stories
Mm,
on Iron Dragon's Instagram.
okay.
So then what I've been doing is like saving those and turning them into a TikTok. And yeah, so I'm like, I don't know, because those go away in 24 hours, you
Yeah.
know, so, but my people on Instagram saw them, but people on TikTok didn't.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
quite
kind of what I'm
interesting.
thinking right now.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're fine.
It's also interesting to see like what you post on, because now, of course, like anything else, and like Instagram is to Facebook, like you can post on both, and now with TikTok it's the same. And I'm like, well, just for saving of time, yeah, I'm going to do that. And people still like to see it because now they're getting used to viewing the TikTok. So I'm 30, I'm going to be 31, so this is my age bracket right now. I
I'm
don't know.
turning 30 in like a couple weeks, so
Oh,
yeah.
okay, so we're in this. Okay, awesome. So you're 92, right?
Yep.
Wait, when's your birthday?
August 26th.
Oh, okay, I'm September 11th, so
Okay.
around the same time. um oh wait, so you are Virgo. Sorry, I'm one of those
Yep.
people right now. Okay, awesome. Very nice. Where the fuck was I in this conversation? By the way, you can curse on this podcast, it's all allowed. Right, so for TikTok, I am reposting it on Instagram, and it's interesting to see who is liking more which video. Like I posted two, right? One with more kicking the other day, and then one with Kali. So it looked like originally, and different music too. Like one had like the Hawaiian music with the Kali because it had like really nice drums, usually like the Filipino type drum beats that I usually play. Or my neighbor who her kids train with me recently told me about this artist. So I was like, oh, this is great. Like I'm in this place. The drum beats are perfect too. Like there's a lot of like influence in that, and it's perfect. So the kicking one, I used a Celtic playlist too, and then the other one on the Hawaiian. And it's interesting just to see like, okay, which variable though is it that changed? So that's the only hard thing to tell. It's like, was it the music? Was it the content? Was it Facebook versus I'm sorry, Facebook. Was it Instagram versus TikTok? So it's just,
The whole
learning.
world. Like it's
And
a whole crazy world.
yeah, and also just even just the quantity in which you're posting, it might just be it, right? Like they just might not have seen you. And then now that you're posting more, TikTok's like, oh, we will reward you with some more people being able to see you. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I
It's
feel,
crazy to figure out.
I don't know how you feel when you're videoing these things. It's probably nicer in your own studio and people understand it nowadays because everybody's got their phones out. But I I just feel so stupid sometimes, like especially when I'm outside and like even in my own like backyard here, in my cousin's backyard, I the neighbors are like right next to him, and I feel so silly. Like I'm like I'll even have like a self conversation like, oh, this is so stupid. Like try and cover my own self, like for the people that
Yep.
are listening. And it's not, it's not though. It's just my, I guess, insecurity about it and just silliness that it feels. But you know what?
It's
It
the
is necessary.
norm now.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
necessary for business. I mean, a lot of things
Yes.
you can get word of mouth. Like I know people um who, I don't know, are in their not older, but like older than me, in their 40s, who are not on any social media, and they're doing like similar things, and they just word of mouth, and the reputation that they've been able to build. But they were building it during the time of where we didn't have those things, so they were able to kind of survive now on word of mouth, and other people are TikToking and doing the things about it. So do you find that too? Your students are doing it for you? What are you
Yeah.
going to
And
say?
like not only using social media to get new students, but to engage the students that we have also. Like they're so excited when
Yeah.
they see us post them, you
Yeah.
know? So, because, their whole world is social media, like they grew up with it.
Yeah.
And so when we post them in a TikTok or we, tag them in something or whatever, they get excited and then they share it. So it's like all of their followers see it, which, are their local friends.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's how it'll eventually get out. I don't know. I mean, I've had some people that have been like, yeah, we found like, if you Google martial arts in my area, we come up.
Sure.
And I think I put a link on our website to our Instagram because to me, and I've done this like looking for a kickboxing gym or something.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
you make your website look how you want it to look, but I want to see your social media because I
Mm,
want to see how your classes actually are running and
right.
whatever, because you can't, if you just scan your class, you're going to pretty much see how everybody's doing and whatever. So a lot of people have been like, yeah, we've scrolled through your Instagram, and so we really felt like we knew what was going on here and this and that. So I think it's a good way to make your school feel more personable before they even walk in the door too.
Yeah. like a preview, right?
Yeah.
Who doesn't who doesn't like to see previews?
Yeah.
Which is cool. I know, and even on your website too. And then you can also like reuse it for the website. So
Hmm.
I am also learning, like, because I was kind of relying on like, so not Instagram, but social media in general, even though I wasn't posting a whole lot. So I've learned to post more and be more consistent on there. But before, I'd like post like a million things and then stop, which is tends to be sometimes my my MO. And then I just get tired of it because I'm like, I want to live my life like outside of this
Yeah.
phone, outside of this computer. Like, I want to be involved in what I'm doing rather than concentrating on, like, if I'm lifting, I don't want to spend my
Set up a
reps of my
camera.
time like not listening to my music and having to just like do this for the camera. And I'm like, come on, man, but it also does keep you accountable sometimes too. Cause it's like, you
Hmm.
have to post that. So there was a point to this one. Don't remember where it was going. This is our conversation, Jalyn, today. um, so I know we're running low on time too. Don't worry, I'm gonna edit this part out. Um, is there anything specific too that you want to cover that you would like our folks to know at home? So our listeners out there, whether they be new entrepreneurs, they're looking to start their business, or they've been in the business for a while and maybe they either need some insight or they're just looking for people to work with. Like, what would you like to tell our listeners today about your experience and how it can help them?
Yeah. So I'll give some like specifically martial arts school owner wise, and then just like a generic entrepreneur. But
Sure.
specifically as like taking over a martial arts school that was already running, that was a lot more difficult than we anticipated. So I would say if you're starting fresh, you get to kind of create your environment and create your culture. And we didn't necessarily get to do that. We came into a culture that was already created and we wanted to change it. So that was very difficult for us. And if you're looking to start a martial arts school, I would actually highly recommend starting it from the ground up because, like I said, you kind of get to create everything yourself and grow the culture that you want to grow. And um, there's not a ton of pushback. We got a lot of pushback because we wanted to change things.
Yeah.
Nobody likes change.
Nope.
Um, so that was kind of a difficult thing. There was some really low lows at the beginning just because people that I thought would be very supportive weren't and stuff like that. So it would have just been easier to start fresh. And I think as an entrepreneur, if you have that mindset too, you have so many ideas. Most people don't get into entrepreneurship without being very creative and having a ton of ideas on their own. So you want to be able to kind of do all of that right away without the pushback.
Yeah.
Just as like a general entrepreneur, I feel like it's like the fun thing to do right now. You know what I mean? Everybody's
Yeah.
like, oh, I want to start a business. I want to whatever. And you see these super successful entrepreneurs, especially on social media and stuff.
Yep.
And people think that that's going to happen
Right.
like overnight or even in 3-5 years. And the reality of it is that, most small businesses don't even profit for like 2 to 3 years. And I don't think people know that going into it because that's not like the fun thing to talk about.
Right. Which is why we're
But
talking about it.
yeah, but
Not
I
to not
think
be fun people,
yeah,
but
you
to
like
know.
you need to know that because it's like, don't quit your day job as soon as you open your
Right.
business, like you're gonna not be able to eat. So you want to, at least have stuff saved up or whatever, but know that it's absolutely not an easy process. Working for somebody is the easier process.
Yeah.
Like actually running something on your own is harder. You're going to work more hours. You're going to work longer hours. You're going to work on the weekends at night. You've got to absolutely love it.
Yeah. We've definitely had other warrior women entrepreneurs on here who have said the same thing, but it's that end part that's the key, right? It's like you do love it. When you're working
Yeah.
for somebody else, even, you hesitated before. If I asked you, do you love like doing martial arts and having
Yep.
martial arts school? Yeah, it's your own. And I know one of your YouTubes, you're like, the teaching is more for like Luis. Like he enjoys that a little bit more, and you enjoy more of like the business aspect of
For
things. Not
sure.
that you don't enjoy teaching in general, but it's not you'd rather train probably. Yeah.
Definitely. And he is like, he's such an extrovert, and he loves, like, the bigger the class is, the more he like thrives off of
Like
it.
rock star status. Like,
Yeah. And for
yeah.
me, it's like the class starts getting big and I'm like, oh crap. Like
Yeah.
what like that's just, I love teaching like one-on-one or two kids, like up to like four, because I critique a lot. So I really want to be, you know, I really want to watch everything that these kids are doing. Once you get to like a 15, 20 person class, you can't even do that anymore. It's
Yeah.
just keep the energy up, make sure everybody's having fun. But if one person's kick is wrong, you can't stop the whole 20-person class to correct that kick.
Yeah.
And that like kills me as a martial artist. I'm like, you're doing that wrong.
Yeah.
But that's where your smaller classes come into play. That's where you really learn.
Yeah. With us, we have it. There would be times I think I would literally be teaching like 4 classes in one, because I had
Oh gosh.
I would do the virtual simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would also be teaching 3 different levels in class, complete beginner, like white belts who didn't even know how to like have their stance, or the stance that we use, the universal stance that Sifu Dan originally had adapted to our curriculum, but I've since have like used for my own school of thought and action as well. Sorry. Anyway, just throwing credit where credit's due. Because when I say
Yeah.
these things and I'm like, I'm gonna, this is not my phrase or my thing, but that's in martial arts, right? It's like, we're always taking from each other and always, using it for each other. It's not necessarily taking, it's adapting, and it's,
Mm-hmm.
absorbing what's useful.
Yep.
So, but within those, you would have your older students too, but you don't want to cheat them out of their
Yes.
level of work as well. So what we would do sometimes is like, we just kind of break up the class with the time, right? So, okay, here's the curriculum for you guys that are higher belts. Here's the curriculum for the middle, like then the very, very beginners, right? It's just a breakdown of the combo. Like it just might get increased as it goes. And then the virtual again was a whole different thing. But
Yeah.
then at some point it's like, okay, great. Now everybody mix. So my higher belts go with my lower belts. And then they were kind of take care of like, if they see that kick, like not to give them necessarily the power to teach, but to assist. And that's such a
Mm-hmm.
big thing that people don't understand. I didn't understand either. I didn't understand the difference between helping and teaching. Helping means like you can help to maybe point something out for somebody, right? It's like, hey, this might help you to do this, but to tell them something's like wrong, or like, no, it's not like this while you're still learning, that's the difference. And that's what I had to learn too, because sometimes I would end up like teaching versus helping, and I didn't understand. Like, I'm like, but you guys told us to help. I'm helping. They're like, no, you're teaching. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, and then I'm the kind of person I'd be like, fine, I'm just not doing it then. So now that I've come to this stage, like, I think I got my black belt in 2019. And I've been teaching since my purple belt, which is 2017 or 16, maybe 2016. So I started with the kids class, and by red belt, I was teaching even the advanced classes, which was pretty incredible because I hadn't really seen that necessarily before. Like, but anyway, sorry, I digress. But yeah, being able to teach that and adapt to that is hard, but you can use your students to help you at certain stages too. And it's just a learning curve like anything else, and learning to be comfortable in that uncomfortable is our realm, but it doesn't make it necessarily super easy. It just makes it a little easier. Like we can adapt a little quicker to that discomfort, right?
Mm-hmm.
And especially you're learning how long have you been training jujitsu?
Like 3 weeks.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, we just started it.
So yeah, that's super close quarter. So,
Yes.
you definitely like get a lot of discomfort there, just people's body weight on top of you. And I mean, it's not comfortable to get kicked in the face either, but it's
Right.
different. It's
It's a
impact
different
versus,
uncomfortable. Yeah.
yeah. So, sorry, where did I want to go with this? Again, I just want to keep talking about martial arts. I'm so excited to have another
I
martial
know.
artist on here.
I know. I
Okay.
could
So,
talk about martial arts all day too.
and that's the great thing. That's like what you said, right? It's like loving what you do. That's how you can become an entrepreneur, because you just put in like all of these thoughts and ideas that you hope comes to light. But if it doesn't, guys out there, we've talked about this a lot of times. If it doesn't right away, keep going. Maybe use a different tactic, but also give it the time. Like especially in martial arts. And this is why like anybody who's listening, try martial arts. If you've not done martial arts before, I do virtual stuff sometimes too, but only for basics because there's only so much you can do virtually. But
Mhm.
find your local martial arts school, whether it's down in Georgia with Jalyn or over here in Hawaii with me, in New York City, Anderson's. Like, make sure that you guys are just trying it because it can really help you navigate life a little bit easier and better. And, you learn to just kind of, it can feel a little uncomfortable and seem overwhelming at first, but if you have the right instructors and you find the right people, they're going to be able to help you. They're going to be able to make you feel comfortable about it. And then if they don't, then maybe that's not the school for you. And you can go down the corner and there's another,
Mhm.
there's
Yep.
another one, New York City too. It's the same thing. So, and we advocate for that. Hey, yes, of course we would love to have you guys here, at my school here in Hawaii or over there. But if it's not for you, then it's not for you. Maybe you just need to go somewhere else to start and you can come back when you're ready. But there's no force here. We just want you to learn and be able to adapt. And especially as entrepreneurs, just A, being able to protect yourself, and B, being able to navigate the very sometimes treacherous waters of entrepreneurship. This will help you. It will help your mindset. It'll help your physicality, staying physically fit, and also just staying mentally fit through that physical movement and understanding. So
I think it
Jake,
also, not to
go
cut you
ahead.
off, sorry.
No, please go ahead.
I think it also teaches you how to fail
Mm,
and then how to get back up from that, which is, I mean, you do that a lot in martial arts or in any physical thing that you're going to try to do.
yeah.
It's not just going to come naturally most of the time. For some people it does. That's nice, but it didn't for me. So
Yeah.
you learn to fail over and over again and then keep trying. And that's entrepreneurship also. I mean, sometimes in your entire business will fail and then you try to start a new one. You find out what's next. Sometimes within your business, you're going to fail over and over and over again and figure out what's wrong. I mean, we've done the same thing. The weapons program, we started it, I think a couple months ago, realized some things that were wrong with it, completely revamped it, and we're bringing it back out now.
Awesome.
So it's like you've got to learn to pivot, learn to
Sure.
fail, learn to, do something different. Your first thought isn't always going to be the right one. Your first
Yeah.
idea isn't always going to work. And I think martial arts teaches you that as well.
Yeah. 100%. I love it so much. Jalyn, just going off of that as well, where can our folks find you if they're in Georgia? Also, just kind of your social media, your website, and your YouTube channel, which I had the pleasure of watching this past week to just study for our interview today. So let our listeners know where they can reach you.
Yeah, so I am personally on Instagram, Jalyn, which is JALYN_kicks. And then Iron Dragon is on Instagram, Iron Dragon MA. That's the same that it's on TikTok, Iron Dragon MA. And we're in Marietta, Georgia. And then also I'm personally on YouTube, like you said. I think it's just my name, Jalyn Rangel.
Mhm.
I try to make things as simple as possible.
Yeah, it was like Doja. What is
Yeah,
it
I
called?
have I've got a series that you're referring to that I'm calling Dream Dojang.
Yeah,
It's kind of like the journey of creating Iron Dragon.
that's awesome. I'm definitely, and again, I'm trying to absorb what's useful for myself because I'm trying to do this like I told you, the mini docu series, just kind of going
Hmm.
over. I'm just gonna. I don't know if you can hear the motorcycle in the background. Sorry. But like my first episode, I'm hoping to be about compost. I have no idea. We've heard it. We've sort of seen it in random parts, like what compost is, but I don't know really what it is, how to use it. And there's all these misconceptions about it and just misunderstanding for lack of understanding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be probably teaching these folks like at least a lesson in Jeet Kune Do and all that encompasses. And then they're going to teach me how to compost, for example, and how it can be easily done like individually without having to be this whole big thing, and how it can help us be more sustainable.
Hmm.
And how that even relates to Jeet Kune Do. Like what the hell does Jeet Kune Do have to do, or martial arts have to do with composting? Everything. It's the health of the planet, which leads to the health of you and your body, which leads to, better air we're breathing and being able to just function better, right? In this world. So, and also just being able to adapt. It's everything is about adaptability, right? And
Yep.
I know we've talked about this and we're going to end here soon, guys, because our time's running out. But, you were talking before about, we had two conversations. So one, to watch people kind of have to learn something new. And we're seeing it from like, oh yeah, I know how that feels, but I've been there and like, I can do it a little bit better. But meanwhile, here we are with TikTok and Instagram and all these things, we're saying the exact same thing, but it's just like, not that we can't see it, but it's kind of like, oh, we're them now, but with this. So it's like,
Yes.
how can we use our skill and our understanding and knowledge through martial arts to use this to adapt to, okay, understand that this is uncomfortable, but you know what? I've been here before. I can figure out a way. It's going to take maybe a little bit longer because I don't fully understand it, but how have I been able to do this before? And
Yeah.
that's,
It's like, it's going out into life with like a white belt mentality
yeah.
of always being a student. Yeah.
And being willing to learn. That's a hard part.
Yeah.
Like I'm a perfectionist, so I'm also very hard on myself. So it was a really hard lesson. And I continue to learn this lesson to just relax. And it's okay that you don't get everything perfect necessarily right away. It's through practice and understanding. Do your best, like, but understand like your best is your best at the moment. If you put your all into it, and then you'll be better hopefully the next day if you keep putting that in there.
Yeah.
And that consistency is hard. My lifting and my own weight fluctuates up and down just because of that, necessarily that consistency. And like, I need like sports, I need martial arts as well. And I haven't been consistent with that training. And I haven't had the sport here that I play. I started a team, Hawaii hurling, so Irish hurling, and trying to just kind of make that happen for myself so I can run with fun. Because that's part of my fitness routine that I need in order to kind of shed that fat, to be a little bit lighter, to be faster in my martial arts, and also that strength training. So I just feel better when all of that happens. And that's what I know that I need to do, in order for me to be able to kind of sustain that. So at least for now, until I figure out something better. But Jalyn, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I know we did touch upon it with entrepreneurship and everything, but if there's one last message you want our listeners to get from today's conversation, what would that be?
I would say if you absolutely love something and you want to do it, don't give up on it. So your journey might be up and down. You're going to, hit some bumps in the road, as everybody does, but you've got to, just like you were just saying, stay consistent, persevere through it. And you're playing the long game. Eventually you'll come out on the other side a winner.
Awesome. Jalyn, you're awesome. I hope the most success for you, and I will continue to try and repost anything that you have there just to promote you in your business down there, Iron Dragon, and just hope you guys can get where you want to be in your business, and just keeping a warrior woman, man, keeping a warrior woman entrepreneur. And, I hope to meet in person one day, and hopefully maybe I can get all the warrior women entrepreneurs I've had on the podcast together, and we'll do something in New York City or something, have like a big,
definitely.
a big
fun
get together. But I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I don't even know what time it is. The great rest of your afternoon. And mahalo and aloha.
Thank you so much.
A big mahalo to all you listeners out there for tuning into another episode of Warrior Women in the World of Entrepreneurship podcast. And thank you to all you out there who are watching this on YouTube. Please make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel. We have so many more interviews to come, and we're so excited to be able to bring them to you. And we hope you tune in each and every time. Be sure to share your favorite episodes on social media and tag us. You can tag us at TascoFit. And you can hashtag Warrior Women in the World of Entrepreneurship, although I know that's a mouthful and a lot to write. So we've just been shortening it to hashtag WWWE podcast. Mahalo again and aloha.